With its immersive storytelling, complex characters and choices that have lasting consequences, Mafia has won the hearts of many gamers since its release in 2002. The game puts you right in the middle of the action, letting you live the life of a mobster. But be warned, not everyone who sits at the Don's table comes out alive. What happened to the members of the family after Vito was taken down? What is the fate of these characters, and how did they end up on this bloody path? Join us as we uncover the shocking truth about their lives, loves, and losses. We will also be looking at some of the most iconic lines from the game that will leave you speechless. So stay tuned until the end to find out what happened to them all along. Yes. Welcome back, everyone. Here, we are so excited to share with you our latest video about the game Mafia. This video contains some spoilers from the game, so if you haven't played it yet, we recommend that you do so before watching. Also, please remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new videos like this one. Now let's talk about Mafia. If you want to learn more about this game, just search for it on Google or click on the link in the description below. As you know, Mafia is a thrilling video game that puts you in the shoes of Vito Scaletta, gangster who climbs the ranks of the Italian Mafia in the fictional city of Empire Bay during the 1930s. As you play the game, you'll make decisions that affect not only your own fate, but also the fates of those around you. And if you don't watch your step, you might just end up joining the long list of mobsters who didn't make it out alive. So now let's take a look at the shocking truth about the characters in Mafia, shall we? The first character we need to discuss is Paulie. Now here's what you need to know about him. Paulie was one of Vito's best friends and fellow soldiers in the Salieri crime family. He was known for his loyalty and was always ready to back up his friends. However, he had a major flaw that would eventually lead to his downfall. You see, Paulie was a heavy drinker and was often seen stumbling around drunk. He also had a big mouth and couldn't keep a secret to save his life. As a result, he often got into trouble with the other mobsters. Despite his flaws, Paul was a valuable member of Vito's crew and helped him carry out many hits and other criminal activities. However, his drinking and loose cannon attitude would ultimately lead to his demise. In one of the missions, Paul was tasked with killing a rival mobster. But as he was getting ready to pull the trigger, he got cold feet. He started to question whether he could really do this and hesitated. And in that moment of hesitation, Vito arrived on the scene and shot the target instead. Paulie was furious and felt betrayed by both the target and Vito. He started to drink heavily and fell into a deep depression. Eventually, Paulie's drinking got so bad that Vito and the other mobsters decided that they had to get rid of him. They took him out into the woods and shot him dead. To make it look like an accident, they set his car on fire and staged it to look like he had crashed. The other mobsters were sad to see Paulie go, but they knew that he was a liability and that someone had to take him out. Vito was devastated by the loss of his friend, but he understood that it had to be done. He buried Paulie in a shallow grave and made sure that his death was kept a secret. To this day, Vito still feels guilty about having to kill Paulie, but he knows that it was for the greater good. Next, let's talk about Frank. Frank was one of the most powerful and respected mobsters in the game. He was the underboss of the Salieri crime family and was known for his ruthless efficiency. Frank had been in the mob for years and had a lot of enemies. However, he was always able to stay one step ahead of the cops and the rival families. Despite his criminal activities, Frank was a man of honor and was respected by both his friends and enemies. He was a cunning strategist and was always able to outmaneuver his opponents. However, his time in the mob had taken its toll on him, and he was starting to feel the weight of his sins. He knew that he was a wanted man, and that it was only a matter of time before the cops caught up with him. In an effort to escape his past, Frank decided to flee the country and start a new life in Cuba. There he changed his name and tried to blend in with the locals. For a while it seemed like he had gotten away with it, but the cops were hot on his trail and eventually caught up with him. They brought him back to the United States to face justice for his crimes. Despite his efforts to escape his past, Frank was ultimately brought down by his own demons. Let's move on to Derek. Now, Derek was one of the youngest members of the Salieri crime family and was known for his hot temper. He was a hotshot who thought he was better than the other mobsters and often got into fights with the other guys. Despite his anger issues, Derek was a skilled hitman and was feared by both the cops and the rival families. However, his reckless behavior would ultimately lead to his downfall. One time Derek got into a huge fight with one of the other mobsters, and ended up killing him. The other mobsters were furious and knew that they had to get rid of him before he got them all killed. They took him out into the desert and left him to die of thirst. Even though Derek was a skilled mobster, his anger and recklessness would ultimately lead to his demise. Now let's shift our attention to Lucy. She was a major character in the game and Vito's love interest. She was a beautiful and intelligent woman who was involved in the mob. Despite the danger that came with her lifestyle, she was willing to do whatever it took to protect her family and the ones she loved. However, her loyalty would ultimately lead to her downfall. See, Lucy was married to a mobster named Sam, but she was having an affair with Vito. She was torn between her love for Vito and her duty to her husband and family. Eventually, she decided to leave Sam and be with Vito, but this would prove to be a fatal mistake. Sam was furious when he found out about the affair and vowed revenge. He hired a hitman to kill both Vito and Lucy, and although Vito managed to escape, Lucy was not so lucky. She was shot dead in her car, leaving Vito heartbroken and full of regret. Lucy's death was a major turning point in the game, and it drove Vito to seek revenge against Sam. He assembled a team of hitmen and went after Sam, killing him and anyone who got in his way. Finally, we come to the Don himself, Father Morelli. Now he was the head of the Salieri crime family and was known for his intelligence and power. He was a respected leader and was feared by both the cops and the rival families. However, his health was starting to decline, and he knew that he needed to choose a successor. He chose Vito, but this caused a rift in the family. Some of the other mobsters, including Frank, were furious and felt that they were more deserving of the position. They plotted against Vito and eventually launched a full-scale war against him. Despite the odds being stacked against him, Vito managed to survive the war and eventually came out on top. He took over the Salieri crime family and became the new Don. However, the experience had taken its toll on him, and he knew that he would never be the same again. In conclusion, Mafia is a thrilling game that takes you into the dangerous world of the Italian Mafia. The austere characters in the game are complex and well-developed, and their stories are both fascinating and tragic. From the loyal but flawed Paulie to the ruthless Frank, the hot-headed Derek, and the doomed Lucy, to the powerful Don Morelli, each character brings something unique to the table, and their interactions with each other create a web of alliances, betrayals, and rivalries that is both entertaining and thought-provoking. If you haven't already, we highly recommend playing the game and experiencing the Mafia universe for yourself. Just be warned, once you step into the world of organized crime, there's no telling who will come out on top. That's all for today, folks. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate all your support and can't wait to bring you more exciting content in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.